Good evening, Lake Travis ISD. My name is Curtis Null. I'm proud to be your superintendent of schools. Thank you for joining us tonight for our February live update. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I think this is the third time that we have done this together. This is really an opportunity for us just to have a conversation together, for me to share some updates about the school district, to try to give you a little more information than we could provide you in an email. A little bit more of the hows and whys things are done, and just cover really a myriad of topics along the way as well. Now, these are unscripted. I view these kind of as a conversation amongst family and friends. So I don't script them. I just make a few notes here of the topics that I want to make sure that we cover tonight. So with that, I'll always ask for your grace. I'm human and likely to make mistakes or stumble on some topics along the way, but I hope that you'll enjoy this conversation, and we have a lot of great things to talk about tonight. I made my list here as we think about this, and we have celebrations to really highlight what's going on in the school district. We'll talk a little bit about attendance and selective enrollment, our Lake Travis Education Foundation, our brand new upcoming Highland Lakes High School as well, construction updates from Lake Travis High School, and then discussion about weather closures as well. So there's a lot of really interesting topics, and I know some of these can take a long time, so we'll do our best to honor your time as well. We want to have great conversation, but we want to honor your time. So we will continue the practice that we've had of emailing out to you in the next couple of days, a fully indexed and cataloged kind of time-stamped email to tell you, exactly what topic is covered when during this conversation, so that if there are topics that are not of interest to you, you'll be able to skip right past those and go directly to the ones that are of interest to you. And those that are joining us live tonight, we thank you for taking the time to do that. We will have the ability, hopefully, to do a little live Q&A through this process as well. And I have been able to review the spreadsheet. I know we've had some questions submitted, and I've gone through to look at those. While I may not call out the question specifically through our conversation, I try to work in answers to those questions during the presentation, and then those at the end. If I need to hit questions specifically, we'll do that as well. Now, before we jump into celebrations, I want to give a plug out for our community staff and student survey that we do each year. This year, it has a little bit of a different look. You would have received a survey that came directly from your campus. So your campus principal, or it's branded to your campus. So it's going to look like it came directly from your campus, but that survey will be aggregated, and it will give us our district data as well. So we encourage you parents, as much as we want to have this conversation with you, we want to hear from you as well, have conversation coming back to us. So please complete that survey. It really helps us. Our students will be doing that as well. Our principals have sent it out to our staff members, and we look forward to all of that feedback. But now, all that being said, let's talk about the great things that are happening here. Y'all, we live in a very special place. You know this. You moved here for a reason, and probably really high on the list, besides the physical beauty of this place, is this wonderful school district that we have here. And we're thankful for you, that you make this a wonderful place and your children make it a wonderful place. I am now, I guess, 8 months or so into my time here, and I'll tell you that I am more thankful each and every day to be here and be a part of this great community. Of all the wonderful things I do, I said this last time, I'll say it again, my favorite thing continues to be car rider duty in the mornings at our schools. It's the best way for me to start my day, to see the beautiful children getting out of the cars, have conversations with you parents in the car rider line as well, and to be standing there with our great educators at each campus and watching the way that they love your children and how excited your children are to see them each and every day is amazing. And to start my day that way makes the rest of the day fantastic. So thank you for being a part of that. And when you see me in the line, I hope that you'll introduce yourselves. And the last thing I want to do is mess up the car rider line and slow it down. We know that's a faux pas that I don't want to be a part of. But where it's appropriate, I'd love to shake your hand and say hello, and get to know you as well as we roll through those lines. But let's talk about some of the great things that our kids are doing and celebrations. And so we have some pictures to show you tonight. We're going to start off with DECA. You may not be familiar with DECA, but these are kids that are going out and competing on a statewide level in business type contests, and you can see the kids that we sent to state competition. And first of all, just looking at these kids, they're amazing, young professionals. You can see the great work that they do to present themselves in the right way. And in these pictures, you also see the medals of champions. You see folks that are doing amazing work, and we're really proud of them. And we have a list here of our state winners. And I think it's a big deal to notice the kids' names, but one of the things I want to highlight on this slide is look at the subjects or the competitions in which these kids are competing in, because I think a lot of families, especially if you have younger children, you don't know that these are even options for your kids when they get into high school. And so, you look at things like automotive services management, business law, entrepreneurship, food marketing, hotel and lodging management, sports and entertainment decision making, retail merchandising, professional selling. These are amazing opportunities for kids. We have an outstanding DECA program. Want to thank everybody that's involved in helping these kids be successful. And they're going to be advancing. We're going to have a lot of kids advancing on to the next round of competition, and we wish them all the best. Now, from that, we move on to what was one of the most awe-inspiring evenings of my year so far, as I went to see the high school musical as they performed Mary Poppins. And I hope that you had an opportunity to go see what these students produced. It was a packed house, multiple nights there in the auditorium at the high school. But you can see just some photos here, and I'll just point out the lower left-hand photo. That's Mary Poppins, and yes, she is flying, and she flew across the stage multiple times at a high school musical. You could not have sat in that theater and really thought you were watching high school students. They were that amazing. My wife and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I want to congratulate both the students and the staff. There's a lot of hard work that goes into putting on a musical, and we're really proud of them and thankful for the great work that they do. So congratulations to our Mary Poppins crew. Up next, I want to highlight a team of Destination Imagination students from Lakeway Elementary. DI is a great program that I would love to see us grow here in Lake Travis ISD. I think we have the perfect makeup of really bright, creative minds and kids and parents that want to be involved. So this is an area where I think we can really dominate in the future. We have one team that went to competition this year from Lakeway Elementary, and they won first place at regional. So it kind of highlights my idea of I think we can be dominant. And so you can see the picture of our kiddos here, and also the picture on the left with the parents who sponsor. This is a great opportunity for parents to be involved as well in Destination Imagination. So best of luck as they move forward in the next round of competition. Another area that we are now stepping into and embracing is science fair. So our elementaries have done a great job of science fair. Now we're moving it into the middle schools, and Bee Cave Middle School is kind of our pilot program. Want to congratulate 7th grader Farisha Shahil, who took second place in the Greater Austin Regional Science Fair. And I'm going to read the title of her project just because I'm super impressed. The Water Footprint of Bioplastics, a study on the effects of bioplastics on water properties. And if we have 7th graders that are taking on the world's problems in this manner, we're going to be in good shape, y'all, in the future. So congratulations and best of luck as you move forward on that as well. We've had some students who are living into their dreams in the athletic world as well. Swim and dive had their state meet just last weekend, and we've had a 5th place finisher in diving. We also had a 5th place in the backstroke, and multiple students that got to be a part of that. So once again, you can see those students there pictured. Really proud of them. Congratulations. Swimming is a tough sport. Those kids are up early, they're out late, and we just thank you for your dedication and all of your hard work, and congratulate you. Speaking of really hard sports, our wrestling team went to the state tournament as well recently, and our team placed 8th with 3 state finishers. I think the 8th place finish for our team is the best we've ever had. And then three young men finished or officially placed at the state meet. So James Murray, a second place finish, and then 2 fourth place finishes as well. Once again, wrestling, super difficult. That is a very, very difficult sport, but we congratulate them on having really a great season and look forward to the future. I think that's a young team that has the potential of seeing some state champions in the future. So we're really proud of that group. And then also on the athletics front, we just wrapped up this week our basketball season. So both our men's and women's team were able to advance into the state playoffs. Unfortunately, their runs are over, but it doesn't minimize the great year that they had. We're really proud of them, for both teams making it into the playoffs and representing the Cavaliers very well. So congratulations to men's and women's basketball as well. I want to mention something that we shared early on in the school year. The Cavs Celebrating Amazing Victories, or our Cav Kudos program. So we talked about this as a way that we can recognize both staff and students for the great work that they do. And I am proud to tell you that so far, since we introduced this just a few months ago, over 2,500 Cav Kudos have been sent out. So that's you sending them in to recognize staff for the great work that they do. That's staff recognizing students. It's staff recognizing each other. Y'all, the more positive we put into this world, the better place it will be. When things aren't perfect, we always hear about that. It's just the nature of the world. It's the same in your world. If you make a little mistake somewhere, somebody probably lets you know about it, but you do a million things right, and who's taking the time to tell you that they see that and notice that? That's what Cav Kudos is all about. It doesn't have to be about recognizing some grand thing. It can just be about recognizing somebody that just does all the right things, and you just want to say, I see you, and I thank you for doing that. And so we appreciate the Cav Kudos. Along those lines, we come to you through these conversations. There's a behind the scenes portion that happens here. I stand up here, but there's a lot of work that goes into making these events happen. And one of the people there's really important in this whole process, probably the most important person in this process, is a young lady by the name of Meg Kelly. So Meg sits behind this camera, and I look at her for the entirety of this program, and she helps make all of this happen. But I want you to know Meg. So I'm going to invite Meg to come up. I just want you to see her, because you're going to hear me refer to Meg. You hear me refer to her all the time, and you should know Meg the same way we know. Hi, Meg.
Hello.
It's good to have Meg here.
Hi.
And along the lines of Cav Kudos, I want to share with you all something that's really cool. So Meg not only does this, but she also handles all of our social media. So if you've been paying attention to our social media, you have seen things go like really viral. We had a video last year from graduation that has gone viral, over 5.3 million views, I think.
That's correct.
Then we did a video with Mr. Bush about attendance.
Yes.
So we did an attendance video that went over 2 million views. Where are we at now on that number?
2.3.
2.3 million views about attendance. That's a lot of talent to be able to make that happen. And I tell Meg all the time that I'm so impressed with her and the work that she does, and I hope she knows that. But it's also cool when there's external people that recognize talent. So I want to tell you all that a week or two ago, whenever that was, the Texas School Public Relations Association, so that's the school that handles all the communications departments for the state of Texas, recognized Meg's video from graduation, right?
That's correct.
As what was the title of the award that you received, Meg?
So we received best in our category. So the category was miscellaneous digital media, okay. Which is kind of where social media falls sometimes. But I believe there were 20 entries from districts all over the state, and we won best in that category at our conference.
So congratulations to Meg, because we know it, we see it here, y'all. But Meg, every time you see one of these great viral videos, or you see something on any of our social media platforms that you're like, that's amazing. Like, who thought of that? Meg thought of that. Whatever it is, Meg thought of it because she's that great. So thank you, Meg. I wanted you all to know Meg. So when you see great things happening on social media and you want to give a Cav kudos to the mastermind behind it, you can give a Cav kudos to Meg Kelly. And thank you for joining us. And thanks for making all this happen tonight, Meg.
Thanks so much, Dr. Null.
All right.
Of course. Hope you guys enjoy.
Okay. Thank you. All right. As we go back into talking about things to celebrate, one of the things that is a primary focus of mine, it's the first thing I think of when I wake up in the morning. It's the last thing I'm thinking about at night is making sure that our students or staff are safe every day at school, right? We want to make sure that we're doing all we can to keep everybody safe. Well, one of the things that we do are lockdown drills to make sure that in the event that something's going to happen on a campus, we are prepared to respond appropriately. The students know what to do, the staff knows what to do. But beyond that, we also want to make sure that local law enforcement kind of knows who we are. They know our buildings. They know how we are going to respond, and we know how they're going to respond. So it's really a relationship building opportunity as we do lockdown drills. I want to send a big thank you to all of our local law enforcement agencies. So Lakeway PD, Bee Cave PD, the Travis County Sheriff's Office, and DPS. What you can see here is a picture from one of our lockdown drills where all of these outside officers came and they joined our Lake Travis ISD police to go through the lockdown drill. This allows all of those officers to be in our buildings, to become familiar with our buildings. It's a wonderful process. It also helps the process go faster, which gives us more instructional time in the day, but it's huge for relationship building. So I want to congratulate our police chief, Chief Merritt, for the way he is reaching out to just build these relationships so that if we are ever in an emergency situation, we know very well that at any moment, all of these agencies are going to respond and help us, in addition to our Lake Travis ISD police. That should give you all comfort. I mean, that's the point of government agencies, is we should be working together to make life better in our community, and these police agencies are doing that and working together. So congratulations. Thank you to all of them for the work that they're doing. I think it's great. Okay. Big news, great update. In our very first talk here, as I entered into Lake Travis ISD, one of the things we noticed was, hey, attendance could be a little better. And we talked about all the reasons why attendance is important. First and foremost, we want to make sure your kids get every educational opportunity possible so that when they walk across that stage of graduation, we know we have poured into them with everything we have and they haven't missed anything. The secondary piece of this is a financial piece. You know, we are working through financial funding struggles just like every other school district in the state is, and attendance directly impacts our funding. So what we talked about in the very first talk that we had is if we could raise our attendance percentage by 1% across the whole district, that 1% increase in attendance would generate about $700,000. Well, $700,000 is a significant amount of money, but it's also significant within the school district because a 1% raise for all of our staff cost the district about $750,000. So when you think about if we could raise attendance by just 1%, then we could be funding a 1% raise for our staff without us as taxpayers paying any more money into the system. It would just be more money that we would get to keep without having to give back to the state. So it's a big deal if we can make this happen. And we talked about, you know, the different ways. And if you didn't watch that first video, you want to learn more about attendance, I invite you to go back and watch that section so you can understand kind of the different rules that are associated with it. But I was convinced in that conversation that this is a really intelligent community. And if we just shared with you all kind of how the system works, you would help us be more successful in the system. And we have a chart here to show you that, y'all, we are killing it. I could not be more proud of the work that we've done. So this year is the purple line, and these are broken down by 6-week marks. So that fourth 6 weeks represents January, and that's typically a time of year that is hard for a lot of reasons. Illnesses go around, but also, people kind of get a little more lax in the attendance world. And you can see the difference that we made this year compared to last year, just in that fourth 6 weeks, well over a point and a quarter improvement during that fourth 6 weeks. And so we are up now for the year significantly. And I don't know if we'll make a whole point game, but even if we did half a point this year, $350,000 is a significant impact on our budget. So thank you. Thank you for, adjusting plans. Thank you for, pushing your flights back to go a little later in the day so that your kids can start the day at school. Thank you for adjusting doctor's appointments. Thank you for making sure when you go to the doctor's appointment that you get the note to bring back to the school. Thank you for all the little things that you are doing and making attendance a priority. It's not only going to impact the budget, but we're going to see an impact in student performance at the end of the year as well. I'm convinced of that we're going to see our scores really tick up because our students are present in the classroom and learning each day. So thank you so much for that. That's a huge accomplishment for us as a community, and we really thank you. Now, we talked about that financial impact and why is that important? Well, school districts across the state are having funding challenges. You don't have to look far. You can look to neighboring districts from us, and you see districts that are closing schools. You see districts that are eliminating what I believe to be very crucial positions like counselors and librarians. It's really sad and tragic if you look across the state. Now, I don't believe that Lake Travis ISD is a community that is willing to sit back and let bad things happen to our kids and our community. And so we are being proactive to find every way possible to make sure that we're not the next school district that is having conversations about closing schools and cutting these types of positions. And so we have been working all year long, in addition to raising attendance, looking at our expenditures. We've already cut from non-campus based positions since the summer, about $800,000 in net positions to reduce that from our expenditures. But still, we're carrying a budget deficit of about $4.5 million. So there's a lot of work to do. We've already cut about 800,000. Let's say we can get 350 to maybe 500 or 600 increase in revenue from the attendance side, but we still have more work to do, and we'll make that happen. But we're not just going to sit back and hope. Hope is not a plan, right? It's great to have hope, but hope is not a plan for the future. And this is not a place that sits on its heels and waits for things to happen to it. We're going to be aggressive and make sure that we're never having a conversation with you that we don't want to have about those, what I believe to be really, really sad impacts of a funding issue. So we will continue to look for every way that we can to increase funding. So attendance is up. The school board is looking at, from selling land assets and different things that can bring money into the system as well. But we've also talked about a new system called Selective Enrollment. And I know there's a lot of chatter online about this, like, why are we, bringing in extra kids, and what is this all about? You're going to flood our system, and it's going to overcrowd our schools and overcrowd our classrooms. Well, there's a couple of key things I want to talk about when you talk about schools and crowding or overcrowding. First and foremost is there is a big distinction between school size and class size. They are mutually exclusive conversations. So you can be in a school that is full but still have small class sizes, or you can be in a school that's not full and have larger class sizes. That's purely based on mathematical equation in each subject area or each grade level, as it may be in an elementary side. So those are separate conversations. Selective enrollment is a very specific plan to fill empty seats that currently exist in Lake Travis ISD with some students that from the outside that could fill that seat, but we would never bring in a student from the outside that would overcrowd a classroom or overcrowd a school. There's also criteria to make sure that any student that we bring in from the outside meets what I would consider to be the Lake Travis standard of excellence, right? We want to make sure that they are going to do that. So when we look at selective enrollment, not every school is involved in this. The schools that we have that will welcome some outside students are Lake Point Elementary, Lake Travis Elementary, Lake Way Elementary, West Cypress Hills Elementary, Hudson Bend Middle School. Then we have very, very few spots at Bee Cave Middle School and Lake Travis High School. That's going to be very limited on those campuses. But even all those other elementary campuses that I mentioned, the selective portion of this means we will only allow a student to come in if they don't require us to hire additional staff members. So I have a little bit of a math equation that I want you to kind of see, as I think it helps you to visualize exactly what in the world am I talking about, because this is so confusing. I want to give you a visual. So here's our visual. Let's consider that we have an elementary school. We're talking about fourth graders here. So there are 72 students in fourth grade at this school. We have 3 teachers in that grade level, and that means there are 24 students in every class. Right? Well, we don't like that. We like to keep our classrooms to at least, or at most, 22 students. So we hire an additional teacher to come into that class. So now we have, or to that grade level. So now we have 4 teachers, and that means there are 18 students in each class. Well, that means if 22 is our optimal class size, that we have 16 available seats in that grade level that we could bring somebody from the outside. But we don't necessarily want to overfill a classroom. So let's just say through selective enrollment, we allow 8 students from the outside to come in. So 8 fourth graders from the outside to come into this grade level via selective enrollment. So when they enter, now every class has 20 students in it. So we're still better off than we were when we only had 3 teachers. We now have we've gone down in class size to 20 students per class, but those 8 students from the outside, they bring with them $80,000 of additional funds. There's no additional cost to our school district because we're not adding a teacher because of those students, but with them comes $80,000 in additional funds. Those funds go into funding the programs that you know and love for your kids. It also goes into funding potential raises and salaries for our great employees. So that's a significant increase. So once again, if you look district-wide, and we would never be able to fill every open elementary seat across the district. It's not really feasible to do that, nor would we try to fill every single available seat. But if we were to fill every available seat that we could without having to add any additional staff, that would generate $3.4 million district-wide without having to add any additional staff, without overcrowding a single classroom in the district, without overfilling any school in the district. Once again, our budget deficit this year is about $4.5 million. So we could make up almost the entire budget deficit just through this selective enrollment. Now, that's not going to happen. We're not going to have that many students come in from the outside. But let's just say we brought in 70 students district-wide into selective enrollment seats, meaning we've identified a spot where we could add them and there's no additional cost. And we brought in 70 at $10,000 funding that comes with them. $700,000. Once again, why is that number significant? Well, that's right there on the cusp of being a 1% raise for all of our employees. So let's say it's 75 students. That's 1% raise for our employees. All of the conversations that we're having around the budget focus on 2 priorities. The number 1 priority is how do we protect all the things that make Lake Travis ISD great for our resident Lake Travis ISD students, meaning how do we make sure that we're not cutting programs? How do we make sure that we're not closing schools? How do we make sure that we're employing important people in students' lives like counselors and librarians? How do we make sure we can protect all those things? That's the number 1 priority in every budget conversation. And the number 2 conversation in every time we talk about the budget is how do we properly compensate the great educators in Lake Travis ISD? And I use the term educator broadly around all of us that are employed So that includes the food and nutrition workers and maintenance and everybody, all of the employees. How do we properly compensate them? Because they're the heartbeat of the school district. You can have a great school district, but without great teachers, you can't continue to be great. So anytime we're talking about the budget, that's the focus. So selective enrollment is not about bringing someone in and overcrowding your classroom or overcrowding your school. It's about bringing in funds to make sure that all the things you love continue to be here, and we never end up in those conversations that we don't want to be in. So we do have some schools that won't have selective enrollment because they're already fairly full. So Serene Hills, Rough Hollow, Lake Travis Middle, Bee Cave Elementary, they're not included in this conversation because they're already full. Only those places where we have room. So I hope that answers some questions for you. It's not a free-for-all. It's not anybody can come that wants to come. It's going to be really very surgical, like what I described. Somebody from the outside wants to come. They may say, hey, I'd like to go to elementary A and I have a third grader. Well, we might look at elementary A and say, we don't have any room in third grade at elementary A, but we do have room in elementary B. If you'd like to go there, we'll offer you a seat there, but we won't overcrowd elementary A to allow your student from the outside to come in. So I hope that helps answer some questions. You know, it's a new thing. I will tell you, this is year 8 for me as a superintendent, and having come from a really large school district that was growing really fast, I don't have experience with selective enrollment. We didn't have this in my district, but when you look around us here, Eanes has been doing it for a long time. Leander is now doing it. There is a point where we can choose to play offense or choose to play defense nonstop. And, only playing defense seems like a losing proposition for us long term. And so this is an attempt for us to really try to play offense to protect the things that we love here in Lake Travis ISD. So, we'll evaluate it. We'll see how this system works. If it's not successful for us, it's not what we thought it would be, then it won't continue into the future. But we are going to give it a shot this year to do all we can to protect this place for your kids. So we appreciate, any questions you have. We're happy to try to answer those for you as well. But if you have friends or, maybe folks that go to church with you that live nearby and maybe they're interested in coming to our schools, but they don't live here, encourage them. Come on. We want to have more great kids, and once somebody signs up and they're accepted in our system, we're going to love them like our own. I think that's really important. We're going to welcome them like family once we have somebody in the system. Every kid's precious, and once they're here, it doesn't matter where they live. We're going to love on them, and we're going to teach them to the best of our ability. So hopefully we'll have more kids come, and I hope that you'll be having conversations maybe with folks in your neighborhood that do live in Lake Travis ISD, but their kids aren't currently in our schools. That, hey, come back and let's get in our school. We're building something special around here, and we want you to be a part of it. And let's get you back in here as quick as we can. So, we appreciate every student that enters our doors. Now, the next piece of this budget conversation that we've talked a little bit about is the Lake Travis Education Foundation. I know, it is tax season. So, we're all going through that process of, finding our paperwork, putting in our charitable donations, and all the things that we do to do our taxes. It brings us so much joy, I know. But one of the things that you do is you begin to analyze or think about, at least I do each year about this time, like, okay, what is going to be my pathway to giving for this next calendar year? So that I want to be thoughtful about that. Well, Lake Travis Education Foundation is a wonderful place to give. It's a tax write-off for you, and they have adjusted their focus now. First of all, they exist only to support us as a school district. That's why they exist. So everything they do is to support us. But they've adjusted their mission a little bit from, historically, they've given a lot of grants, which are wonderful, into classrooms for different activities, but now they're focused more on funding positions. So when we talk about, that $4.5 million budget shortfall, they are now making a donation straight to the district to help make up for that budget shortfall, to help us eliminate fewer positions across the district. So that's huge for us. And with that, we want to see them be very successful financially, right? So if you're looking for a way to donate, you can donate directly to LTEF, and that money will pour right back into our school district, right back in to your kids' schools. It will make a huge difference. But I want to give a commercial tonight for their biggest fundraiser of the year, which is coming up next Friday. That's their big benefit concert. So they've adjusted even the way that they raise money this year, focused more about having on profit margin instead of spending a ton of money on a formal gala. They are they have streamlined the process. Actually, probably also made it more fun. Truthfully, I think what they're doing is going to be more fun than going to another fancy gala. They have a benefit concert next Friday night. It's going to be over at HCI, and it's 80s themed, which I will tell you that I take that a little personal. Like when you reach an age where we're now dressing up in clothes that I wore on a daily basis, that makes me feel old. But nonetheless, I'm excited about having the Spasmatics there to perform. But I'm most excited about one of our very own Lake Travis ISD students, DJ Dill Pickle, will be in the house spinning the tunes as well. So we're excited for that. If you'd like to get tickets, you can do that right here. Once again, it's a big deal. In addition to the benefit concert, they have some really great auction items as well. So if any Ariana Grande fans in the house, there's a wonderful package for that. But two of the biggest packages are these hunting trips, or a hunting trip and a fishing trip down to Argentina. So those, you can see the value of those $10,000 for the hunting trip, a $25,000 fishing trip. So hopefully we get a lot of people in the room ready to bid, ready to support our kids and our community. I want to thank LTEF. The people that are involved are amazing folks. They're not, we have two staff members that work directly with them, but the bulk of the work is done by volunteers. They're moms and dads and parents and community leaders. And I just want to sincerely say thank you. Thank you for the effort, because you don't have to do what you do, but you do it because you love this community, you love kids, you love teachers, and thank you for making the difference that you make. It's really outstanding. We want to support you the way you support us. So I'll be there. I don't know if I'm rocking any 80s gear yet. I have to try to figure that out. I probably still have clothes in the closet from the 80s, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're excited about that coming up. All right, let's move to what's been the biggest news really in the last couple of weeks. It's been news that's a long time coming. If you have been here for many years, I'm still new, but if you've been here for a long time, there's been discussion probably for 12 or 15 years about, will there ever be a second high school in Lake Travis, and when and how and what will that be? Well, in 2022, there was a bond election that approved a second high school. So that was the moment that it was decided there'll be two high schools. And since then, it's been a long process of, okay, when and how. And I think there's a lot of folks out there that have been thinking, like, I don't know if it's really going to happen or not. It's been so long since we voted, and I don't even know if it's ever going to happen. Well, it's happening, and construction, that whole process is underway. And just last week, the board actually voted to name the new high school and establish school colors. And so Highland Lakes High School was born. And our school colors are green and light blue, and we'll talk through that a little bit as well. And I think for many of us in the community, that email that went out that said, hey, here's the second high school name, here are the school colors, was maybe the first moment that it felt real. Like, oh my gosh, like we're really building a second high school, and it is going to fundamentally change the community. And yes, it will. This has been a one high school town for the entirety of the school district's existence, over 40 years. But, there is space here in this community to have two great high schools. And that's what we're going to have. So, I've had a lot of conversations over the last couple of weeks, and I think folks have moved in since the bond vote, or maybe didn't pay attention because their kids were young, and they're asking me like, what, is this a freshman campus for Lake Travis High School? Does this mean my kids go to Lake Travis High School for 9th and 10th grade, and then they're going to go to Highland Lakes for 9th and 10th, and then they're going to go to Lake Travis for 11 and 12? No, we are building a true second comprehensive high school here in Lake Travis ISD. And with that comes so much excitement. It starts even with the naming process. We asked the community to give us feedback. We had over 400 names submitted to the board. The way our naming process works here in Lake Travis ISD, it's not a vote by the community. It was never put out as a vote by the community. The vote is by the board. But the board received all of your input and all of your justification, and they went out and they did their research, and they chose what I think is a very strong name, and it will have standing in this world. I know I had some folks mention to me like, oh, well, there's an elementary in Marble Falls. People are going to think it's Marble Falls. I will tell you, statewide, people don't know elementary school names in other districts. Most people probably here in Lake Travis didn't even know that Marble Falls had an elementary school named Highland Lakes. When you name a high school, it becomes prominent. We know that here in Lake Travis because we have an iconic high school. Lake Travis High School is iconic. Its logo is iconic. It's known throughout the state. Well, Highland Lakes will be that exact same way. We are making space in this community for two iconic high schools. And in the future, when people consider Lake Travis ISD, they're going to think of two iconic high schools. I know right now you could say like, well, everything in the district is Lake Travis. Highland Lakes doesn't have a standing yet. That's true. It doesn't yet, but it will as we grow into it. That's why we've named it early. We want to make sure that the community has time to embrace the name. We have time for groups like LTYA to begin to make the adjustments that they will make, and they will, to make sure that we embrace both high schools. It's important that a new high school have its own identity. I mentioned that I didn't know much about selective enrollment because I had never done that. This is an area I feel really confident in because I've opened multiple high schools in my tenure as a superintendent and assistant superintendent. The things that I've learned through the process is every high school deserves its own identity. Creating a high school from the beginning that sets up one school feeling like a little brother to the original school is problematic. I happen to be in a community that's very similar to this community, the Woodlands, we opened our second high school in the Woodlands. And there were things done there, like forcing one of the school colors from the Woodlands High School into College Park High School, which is the secondary school, that really created a little brother situation. The original high school called them the little brother. They had feelings that way. And what you see now in that school, that it's now multiple years old, is all of their athletic teams refuse to wear the original color. They will not buy it. That color doesn't exist in any of their color schemes because they don't want that. They want to stand on their own. They have built their own proud tradition, and they are known and respected. And that's what we see for the future of Highland Lakes High School. It doesn't need to have the LT branding. LT is Lake Travis High School, should always be Lake Travis High School. The red and the black is Lake Travis High School. We need Highland Lakes to have its own identity because they are going to establish themselves and dominate academically, athletically, in every way. I have no doubt about that into the future. So we want to give them that strength to stand on their own. And we're going to do that. And I'm so excited about it. I just think it's a wonderful thing. It's going to be a beautiful campus. It's going to be a big moment for us as a school district as well. So I want to show you tonight just the website, and we'll talk through a few other details. So Meg, if maybe we can pull up the computer screen here. And we're on the Lake Travis ISD website. And if you go under schools, you can already go and see Highland Lakes High School. And when you pull it up, one of the things I want to note here is we're still working through the template that you will see, but very soon, this page won't be red and white. This page will be in the school colors of Highland Lakes High School. So that's an adjustment that will be made. One of the other adjustments that we can talk about now that we can see is right now the school district uses Lake Travis High School's LT logo as our school district logo. That's a change that will be made in the future. I know I had some Highland Lakes parents say, hey, we don't want to be the only thing in the district that's not LT branded in black and red. I said, oh no, agreed. That won't happen. The district will rebrand to neutral colors from the two high schools, and you'll see the district logo on things like the website or some of our name tags, but it will be the logos and the marks of the two high schools that will be the true icons of our community. But this page will change, and it will become green and blue as we move forward. One of the other things that we talked about at the board meeting last week is that due to construction delays, and I think we talked about this last time in our chat, is we won't be able to open the school until August of 2029. That means that if current sixth graders would be the first 10th grade class there, and current fifth graders would be the first ninth grade class there. So in August of 2029, it will open with freshmen and sophomores. So if we roll down, I'm going to try not to go too fast so that I don't give you all a headache. There's a lot of great information on here, but if you go to this section here, you'll learn a lot about the school that maybe, questions that you may have had. And so we'll just pop these open. So where's the school located? Well, it's located off of Reimers Peacock Road. It'll be located very near West Cypress Hills Elementary, kind of up on the hill right there on the edge of the neighborhood. The campus size is 150 acres. Student capacity, 1,500 students capacity at this school. Once again, it will open in 2029 with 9th and 10th graders. And then in 2030, those 10th graders become 11th graders. And then in 2031, they become 12th graders. So it'll be the 2031-2032 school year before we have a full 4 grades in that school. This campus is a fully functioning high school campus, just like Lake Travis High School. So it's going to have an ag barn. It's going to have the fine arts pieces. It's going to have a competition gym, its own football stadium. Everything that exists at Lake Travis High School as far as amenities and opportunities for kids will exist at Highland Lakes High School. That includes all the athletics. When you talk about the instructional program, you base instructional program based on student interest. So I can't tell you today that we'll have the exact same classes at Lake Travis High School that we'll have at Highland Lakes High School. What I can tell you is we will have whatever classes the students want at Highland Lakes High School, they will exist there. We will have the full array of advanced coursework, AP coursework, college prep, you name it, all of that will be there at both schools. So we're excited for that. Let me go down here to the next block. Also, what I think you will enjoy seeing is the estimated timeline. Once again, estimated, meaning could something move by a month or two? Yes. Is it likely to move by 6 months or 9 months? Probably not. So you can see in February 26th, we've done the board approval for name and school colors. The attendance zone process, so how will we determine which students actually will attend this school, won't kick off until August of 27. So we're kind of a year out now before we get to that point where we'll go through that process. Now, what I will tell you is the foundation of the attendance zone process has been laid previously through previous rezoning processes. We have 3 middle schools in Lake Travis ISD. One of those middle schools, Lake Travis Middle School, will go and feed Highland Lakes High School. Bee Cave Middle and Hudson Bend Middle will feed Lake Travis High School. That's pretty set. And for the most part, I think you can consider that if you are currently zoned to Lake Travis Middle, it is most likely that you will be zoned to Highland Lakes. If you are currently zoned to Bee Cave Middle or Hudson Bend, that you will likely be zoned to Lake Travis High School. There may be some tiny changes that happen along the way, but it's pretty set. When you think about the size of the high school compared to the size of Lake Travis Middle School, if you just roll those students that are at Lake Travis Middle up into the high school and have 4 grades, that will almost fill that high school. So there is not room to zone additional students going that direction, but we will have room at Lake Travis High School. But we'll go through that process. Once we have identified the kids that will be attending Highland Lakes, then we will start the mascot process. So we'll go out, we'll ask the students to make suggestions. We'll then narrow that list down, go back to the students. And once again, these are the students that will be attending the school. We'll go back to the students and ask them, we'll narrow it, ask for more feedback, maybe even be able to get a few logos drawn of some of their ideas, ask their feedback again, and then go back to the board for final approval of that and the true branding of the school. And from there, we really start going to work, from naming the principal to ordering all the materials and hiring the staff. You can see this whole process is going to be kind of fast and furious as we work through. And then the last thing I'll show you is just the construction schedule. So first of all, let me say, please don't drive into the construction site. You can see it from afar from the neighborhood, but please don't go up into the construction site. It's not safe to do so. But if you are in the West Cypress Hills neighborhood and you're looking up and you're like, what in the world's going on? What are we doing? Well, this tells you exactly what's going to be happening during each time of the upcoming years. And really the significant thing to pay attention to is that we expect the school to be completed somewhere around spring break of 2029. That's significant for us because that will then give us time to order in all of the desks and science lab supplies and textbooks and all the things that need to fill a high school, have them delivered, have them set up so that as we enter the summer, we can really be geared up and ready to go. As you know, high schools are fully functional all summer long. So if we can have it ready to go for the summer, that would be great. And then finally at the bottom of the page here are some construction photos or concept photos. Once again, these things could change a little bit over time, colors or different things, but this is just some ideas of exactly what the school will look like. It's going to be a beautiful place. We have some interior photos as well. You can kind of see those school colors come through in these interior photos. Once again, the shades may change, but the greens and blues really fit beautifully into the design. Actually, the architects created these photos before we ever picked the school colors. So these were actually the colors that they felt like looked best in the building, and then they just happened to also be the colors that we went with. So this is the dining commons, the library. So just a beautiful school. Once again, we will have an updated website here soon for Highland Lakes High School. So when you log in, you're going to see green. You're going to see all the things that should really help as well. Let's talk about. We talked a lot about the name. Let's talk about school colors. So we also did a lot of studying of all the area high schools, but also schools kind of beyond our area, because we feel like this is a school that's going to be competing on the state level like immediately. So we really looked all across the state at schools that they may be competing with, and how do we give them a strong presence that they stand alone. When you see their brand, once again, we're not competing with Lake Travis High School, the LT, but it is iconic. So we need to have a second mark that is going to be just as iconic in time. And so we need a color scheme that's going to match that. So the dark green and light blue color scheme is one that really stood out. I think it fits the building well, it fits the community well, it fits the name. It actually sounds like the right colors with the name. But there's no hiding where the color scheme came from. It's been borrowed from Tulane University in New Orleans. And so here are just a couple of photos, just in case you haven't had a chance to really try to visualize what would this look like, or what can this look like on the field for band uniforms or whatever it may be. Here are just a few pictures of different options. I think you're going to see dark green uniforms. You're going to see the light blue, which is very popular right now. Mr. Bush, I know, ran this color scheme by a lot of kids at the high school. They were big fans of it. And so that played a key role in this. But you can just see it is a great look, and it will be powerful and be recognized as Highland Lakes High School moving forward. So we're really proud of and can't wait to see our kids as they begin to take the field. I've actually already gone to Nike.com and built a pair. I'm a tennis shoe guy a little bit. So I've already gone to Nike.com and built a pair of Highland Lakes High School shoes. Can't wait till they get here. And I can start wearing those around a little bit as well. But once again, just the highlights. It's full high school, 2029 opening. It will work its way up to being all 4 grades as we move forward. One of the questions that came in was about Reimers Ranch Road. Is it going to cut all the way through to Hamilton Pool? No, it will not. It terminates at our high school site. So that, I know, it was one of the questions that came in as well. So I wanted to hit that. Let me just look real quick and see if there were any other questions. Well, one question that came in is, why are we building a new high school if we're losing enrollment? Well, that was a significant conversation by our board, and it was about opportunities for kids. The community voted on it and wanted it, and part of the I wasn't here for those conversations, but one of the conversations that the board felt like was loud and clear in the community is we want more opportunities for kids. Meaning, if we want 2 first debate teams, right? We want 2 first chair violins. We want 2 starting 5s in basketball. We have so many talented kids here. So we want to give more kids more opportunities. Having 2 high schools does that. So that's one of the reasons why we kept going. Another question is like, well, could we have just spent that money on something else? No. So it's an interesting piece about the way the law works and money, and it's one that's always confusing to folks. Bond money can only be spent on bond projects. So, one of the questions could be like, hey, you just mentioned we have a $4.5 million budget deficit. Why don't you just take some of the money from the high school and fix our budget? Well, that's illegal. You can only use bond money for bond projects. You can't move it over into what we call our operations budget to pay staff or to fund other projects. So if it was that easy, I can assure you we would do it. We just can't do that. But it's always confusing because people say, well, why are you building this when you could give the money to that? So that's a distinction I think that we want to make as well. So, and once again, there's a question about that, well, you're bringing in outside students, why are we doing that? We're losing students, right? You're just bringing in outside students to fill the high school. Not at all. The outside student piece, we already talked about filling specific empty holes that will generate more money for the district and bring 0 costs. So I think that was one of those as well. Okay. All right, well, let's jump into the next thing. A lot of talk about Highland Lakes High School, but before we ever get to Highland Lakes High School, we already have a great high school, and that's Lake Travis High School, and there's so many exciting things happening there. So much construction. If you've been on that site, there is construction everywhere. One side is Science Wing, another side is a lot of the football stadium and a gymnasium and fine arts. And so let's take a look at some of the things happening there on the Lake Travis site. Meg's going to pull those up. So this is the Science Wing edition that's going on. This will be ready to go by the beginning of next school year. Maybe not by the first day of school, but should be early in the school year. We'll have some new science labs, CTE labs, also a little area there for the tennis program. The tennis courts are on that side of the school as well. Up next, do we have the video of the Science Wing, Meg? Is that the next? Yeah, here we go. So this video, and this video is shot by kids. So I want to thank our TV production crew, Mr. Crabb, at Lake Travis High School, who shot this video. So this just kind of gives you the view from not only the Spillman Loop side, but you can kind of see the other side there of what's going on in the science wing. Should be a wonderful instructional space. We're excited to have really first-class labs for our kids in that area. All right, as we move on there on the campus, the next thing you'll see here is a really exciting space, what I think is going to be somewhat of a showstopper, and that's the Competition Gym and Fine Arts Edition. As you look at these pictures, you see the outside. This is the big kind of dirt project going on. You're going to see a drone fly over in just a second, but going to be a beautiful gym, going to have a significant impact for basketball, volleyball, all the things, but also pep rallies and different events at the school that right now they don't have space to do. I know Mr. Bush is chomping at the bit to have a pep rally at Lake Travis High School, and when we get this facility, he's going to be able to do that. Also, that picture there in the top middle is a fine arts room. So that's a room that will be available to both the Cavalettes, also our color guard flag team, as well as other groups will have the ability to practice in that area. And then you see a new kind of front entrance to the PAC area there in the lower left. So I think we have a little quick video of this as well. Maybe, I think, yeah, we do. This is quite the project. If you drive by right now, this is the one you look at and you go, oh my goodness. It is a big deal going on there. And then up next, we want to just give a stadium update, Cavalier Stadium. The work is underway. You know, I think we did a great job this year. We're thankful to Dripping Springs for hosting us in some of our home games, and our goal is to get back into the stadium for this year. Down in the lower right, you can see our football schedule for this year. One of the changes that's happened is our competition district has changed. Dripping Springs no longer in our district. We keep Westlake, and now we're heading to Round Rock. Instead of the Austin ISD schools, we're heading to Round Rock to play those guys. But the significant thing on the district schedule that you'll see is October 9th is what we anticipate is the first home game of the year and the first game in the newly renovated Cavalier Stadium. So that's exciting. And we also get Westlake at home 2 weeks after that. So we look forward to working our way through the great work at Cavalier Stadium. And then finally, we have some instructional spaces for our ag department. Wonderful program, so many life lessons learned in ag. We actually put out what I thought was a wonderful video. Once again, Meg produced video last week or this week that highlighted the new spaces in ag and some of the programs from welding to our animal stalls as well. So really excited about these first class programs for our kids. They're kind of hidden. They're back there, you know, in their own little area of the school district or of the campus. So if you didn't know where they are, you may not see those. So we want to make sure to highlight them for you as well. So that's our construction update on Lake Travis High School. We did have a question come in about Elementary 8, or the elementary that is the land is purchased on Hamilton Pool Road near the Provence subdivision. Where are we at on that school? So we are working through the design process on that school presently. So since I've been here, we've had a lot of those meetings trying to work that building into the site. It's a bit of a unique site, and it's very hilly like every one of our sites here. We're trying to work the design of the building and also work it into the budget to make sure that we can be on budget or within the budget parameters for that building. And once we have that design in place, then we will take it forward to the board for their consideration to decide, you know, do we build it now? Do we wait? What is the decision? They'll be the decision makers in that. But we know that Bee Cave Elementary is essentially full. It's not overcrowded, but it is full, like 85, 90% full, which feels full. We also know that Provence has a second phase that is coming, and they're going to add more houses. So we'll continue those conversations about how many houses are they bringing forward and what will that look like for us moving forward. We'll share all that with the board, and they'll make the decision on if we go and when and what that would look like. Now, the earliest that school could open, if the board makes the decision this summer to start construction, the earliest that school would open would be 2029. and if it was to, if they were to decide to wait a little longer, it could be later. But the earliest would be 2029 if we said go at the very first time that we could this summer. It just takes that long to get permits and get a school built. So that question came in. Glad that we could get that answered as well. Let's see. I'm looking at the questions again. One of the questions that came in, which was a great question, and we thought it was a good time to talk about this, is school closures. We back in January we had our ice days and we had to close school. The main question that has come in on that is, do we have to make those up? No. Great planning last year by folks that built the calendar. We had 2 extra days built into the calendar, so we're not forced to make those up. Now, if we have any additional closures throughout the remainder of the year, then that we get into that conversation. But for right now, we don't have to make those days up. So that's a wonderful thing. But I'd like to have a little broader conversation about school closures in general. How and why do we make the decisions that we make about closing schools? As a superintendent, I will tell you it's one of the most stressful things that we do. Ultimately, it's my responsibility to make that decision, but I don't make that decision in a vacuum. There's a lot of people that weigh in and share input that help me make that decision. But here are all the different things that I think about when we're making that decision. First of all, safety of our students and staff is the most important thing. We want to make sure that the kids are safe, our staff is safe as they drive in. One of the things that's unique to us here is the landscape, right? We have a lot of hills, there's a lot of back roads, and we have staff members that drive 45 minutes, an hour to get here every day. So there may be times that we're considering road conditions, not just in Lake Travis ISD, but road conditions in all of our surrounding areas, because if we can't get our staff here, we can't have school. So we're going to consider road conditions. To help with road conditions, we get input from our Lake Travis ISD police will go out and drive roads. TxDOT does that as well. Our transportation department goes out and looks at roads as well. And many of us staff members will go out and we're evaluating the roads as well. Another big piece of this conversation is just what is the status of our schools? Do we have power? Do we have air conditioning and heating in our schools? So we always want to get an update on the status of our schools. So our maintenance department is always out checking the buildings and all of our operations team, and they report back. I'm also in constant conversation with all of the other superintendents in the area because we know that we can all impact each other when we make decisions. So I'm getting a lot of feedback from them. I talk to the local mayors to understand what's happening in the city of Lakeway, what's happening in the city of Bee Cave. So we have a great picture. And then I communicate with our school board and get their feedback. Hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm hearing. And they share their feedback with me. Ultimately, it's my decision to make. And it's not one that I ever take lightly, because when we talk about safety, and that's the most important thing, there's also a reality that when we close schools, that may mean that we are leaving children at home unsupervised, which is also a safety concern of mine. I believe as an educator, school days are precious. Every opportunity that we have to have children in our schools is a special day and a special moment. And so for me to close schools takes that away from the children. It puts parents in a really hard and difficult position, because now all of a sudden you may not be able to go to work. And for some families, that may mean that you don't get paid that day. There are also children that are counting on our schools to be a place where they can count on getting a meal for the day. And so when we close schools, we're taking that away. You as a parent get to make the decision every day on if your kids come to school or not. You're evaluating a million things. What's going on in your house? How's the child feeling? There's a million things, and the decision is made. You send them to school. You control that decision. And there may be days that there is weather occurring, or perhaps the roads in your neighborhood are impacted, but the rest of the district's roads are okay. And so we open school, but you have to make a decision to keep your child at home. We respect that. That's your choice. What I don't take lightly is that when I close schools, I have taken away your parental choice. I have made that decision now for every single one of you. there are times when I have to do that, and we won't hesitate to do it. But it's just not taken lightly, and that's the biggest piece that I want you to know. It's not something that we just flippantly do. Typically, when we're in weather situations, I'm up all night. I'm talking to meteorologists. I'm talking to everybody that I can talk to know what's going on. And even after all of that, it's Texas, and we can all think something's going to be fine, and it can go wrong in 2 minutes. Something changes, the weather, the temperature drops, anything can happen. So, just know that just as we did this time, when we're faced with a weather situation we know is coming, we'll talk to you ahead of time. We'll tell you what we're seeing. We'll tell you what we're thinking. We'll make a decision as soon as we possibly can. But to just always cancel is not the right answer, because it impacts our families. It impacts our community. The things that people don't think about is if we close schools and doctors and nurses can't go to work, then hospitals close. And when hospitals close, we become less safe as a community. So all of these things get weighed in. And so it's something that we will be as smart as we can, right, when we make those decisions. There will also be times that we will be wrong. Like, I've done this a long time. There are days that I've canceled school, and then all of a sudden the sun came out and it was a beautiful day and we didn't need to do it. And there's days that weathermen have told me we're going to be fine with the weather, and then, it changes at the last minute and we have to scramble. But just know that it's a process. We take it seriously. We'll always communicate, do our best. But ultimately, if we have school and your family is in a situation that is not ideal for you, or not safe for you, or not practical for you, we respect that and we fully understand it. So it's a good time to talk about this when we're not faced with a winter storm. It's a beautiful spring day out there today, so it's a nice time to have this conversation. All right, let me roll through. Let's look here. Let's see. Looking at questions, I'll circle back on this one. Selective enrollment. You said it wouldn't add cost, but the example you gave about fourth grade, including a new teacher, so wouldn't a big chunk of that $80,000 be offset by salary and benefits? Well, we have to add that teacher just based on resident students. So I don't know, Meg, can you go back to this, like the final slide of that selective enrollment conversation? So if we have 24 students in classrooms at that grade level, we are going to add a teacher no matter what. Regardless of if we're going to bring in outside students, we're going to add an additional teacher because we feel like 24 would be too big. Now, there are times that we wouldn't, meaning, let's say they go up to 24 students in February and the principal says, look, like we don't want to add a teacher, because if I have to call these parents and say, hey, we're going to move you to a new class, everybody's going to be upset with me. Everybody's happy with their teacher, so let's not do that to folks. So we may not add in that situation, but at the beginning of school or over the summer, we would add another teacher to that mix, and it wouldn't come with any additional funding. Bringing in those selective enrollment students actually increases that funding, and it would pay for that teacher, where if we don't bring in any students from the outside, then there is no additional funding to cover that cost. So that was a great question. I appreciate that. Let's see. We had a question on here. I love getting instructional questions, so thank you for that. Recent studies showing educational outcomes have decreased with increased use of laptops and tablets. So how will we respond to that? Education is a giant pendulum. Whatever instructional strategy we talk about, we tend to go from one thing to the next. Anytime we're living on an extreme, regardless of what we're doing, I think is a problem. We have probably swung too far into the technology side. We need to come back to the middle a little more. There's absolutely a place for technology. Some of the data and information that we can learn about students quickly through instructional programs that are technology based makes all the difference in the world for us as we program future learning opportunities for them. So that's a big deal. Also, some of the anchor activities that we do in classrooms that then allow teachers to pull small groups and work with kids one-on-one, those are significant, make a big difference. but there needs to be a balance. And I see us working towards that balance. A couple of other big instructional things that are happening this year. We have a new math adoption that's going on. So we'll have new instructional materials for math next year coming. And also our staff is working this summer, right now through this summer, to really work through our curriculum to make sure that we have a very strong, viable curriculum across all subject areas and grade levels. So we're thankful for our teachers. We need teacher voice in that. They are being a big part of this. But that's going to also help us really fortify our instructional practices. You know, it all starts with having a strong curriculum. So we appreciate that. But thank you for the instructional question. Sometimes we get on here and we talk too much about the operational side. The reason why we come to school every day is to instruct children and to help them learn and grow. And so it's nice to have that mix, that into the mix. Okay. I think that covers the questions that I see here. Whew, an hour, 20 minutes. I know it was a lot. It was a long time. Those of you that stuck with us, thank you. Those of you that have joined us and been able to bounce around and see the things that were important to you, hopefully you found that useful. Appreciate all that you do. We thank you for your support. While we continue to work and make this school district better and better each day through the wonderful work of our teachers and staff on campus that are doing amazing things, let us always be thankful as a community for this place in which we live and the people that are here making a difference. This place is special. Is it perfect? No. Will we ever be perfect? No, because we're human. But it's a very special place. And we are so fortunate to be here in this place together, raising up amazing young people who are going to be the future leaders of this world. And let us just always remember that. Take time to say thank you to folks. Take time to recognize greatness. Fill out your CAV kudos. Talk to folks. If you have concerns, remember the best person to talk to about a concern is at the lowest level possible, like the closest to the problem. I'm always happy to try to help, but me trying to help takes time. Like, go directly to the person, talk to your teachers, build those relationships, and let's all know that we all show up each day to love kids. We want the best for you. We want the best for your families. We want the best for your kids. And we're just thankful that we get to be a part of it. I wish you all a wonderful evening. Hey, happy spring break. It's going to be here before we know it. Be safe, have fun, and we'll catch you next time. We'll have at least one more of these before the end of the school year, and we'll look forward to that conversation. Have a great night.